They have a show that they do regularly. They just performed in New Jersey, and they come to Staten Island. And the performance is called Among the Victims Are Those Who the U.S. has tortured, many still in Guantanamo, Bagram, and other black sites around the world. This piece that Nancy just performed honors those victims that are still held in black sites that are being tortured and not released for the last 10 years. Our rally here today is held on the 10th anniversary of the attacks of September 11, 2001. And not only do we want to honor those Americans that lost their lives this day, but also we have to remember that subsequent to 9/11, there were millions of civilians that were killed around the world. We invaded sovereign nations because of the attacks of 9/11. We lost over 6,000 U.S. troops. Hundreds of thousands have been wounded. Millions of innocent civilians have been killed, all in the name of 9/11. When does the madness end? That's what we're doing here today. We want to see peace come not only to this country, but to the world. So artists have shown up here today to perform some pieces, to read some poetry. We have some spoken word, and we have some visuals of what has actually happened around the world. We're part of the rally that's going on down the street. Unfortunately, we thought this whole block would be filled with people who would join us on this day to denounce those fear-mongers who want us to hate Muslims, who want us to say to the world that Islam is not a religion that should be respected. They're gathering here today at 3 o'clock, the Pamela Gellers and the Robert Spencers of the world, who continually and will persist in fear-mongering and hatred and riling up the general public against our Muslim and Arab communities around the country, which is really meant to continue the wars on terror. So we just saw Nancy, and next I'm going to introduce Kim Schultz. Now, Kim is a performer also, and she does a play, which she'll explain to you when she comes up here. It's called No Place Called Home.
Hello, thank you all. My name is Kim Schultz, and I was commissioned in 2009 to travel to Lebanon, Jordan, and Syria and meet with Iraqi refugees living in these countries. And I met and had the great pleasure of meeting with a couple hundred of Iraqi refugees, hearing their story of what has happened. And then I was commissioned to write a play. The result of that play, the play is called No Place Called Home. And I performed it. We had a New York run last year, and we are touring it now. I'm just going to give you a little bit of piece of No Place Called Home, meant to give voice to the almost 4 million Iraqi displaced people around the world. Omar was his name. I guess, is his name. He's not dead, or I hope he's not. And I loved him in probably the most improbable of all probabilities. He is an Iraqi refugee, one of the 4 million living without a home currently, and I am an American. one of the 300 million, more or less, responsible for that. Yep, I fell in love with an Iraqi refugee. Now there's a story. Oh my God, I'm in Lebanon. Oh my God, I'm in Jordan. Oh my God, I'm in Syria. Syria, I know, right? Who goes to Syria? But here I am, after being in the Middle East for 3 weeks. 3 weeks of meeting Iraqi refugees and hearing their stories. 3 weeks of chaos and kidnappings and killings. 3 weeks of tea and torture and tears. 3 weeks of shawarma and shukrans and oh shits. 3 weeks of listening to stories that I'm not even sure I'm qualified to hear. Stories that never should had to have been told. 3 days before heading back to the US. 3 minutes into the social hour to meet displaced Iraqi artists. I make eyes with Omar.
God bless America.
Oh, he's so
So I don't have to
Iraqi.
deal with them. So I don't have to deal with them.
Dark, beautiful, and Iraqi. He looks at me, knowing. I look at him, not knowing. He looks, I look. He looks, I look. He looks, I look. I look somewhere else. Look at another refugee, Kim. There are other refugees. We look at each other and smile, and we move to each other like magnets, like pita to hummus, like inevitability. Omar, I'm Kim. I know, he says, and smiles.
Bang.
No, wait.
Smiles and bang.
Stop, stop, stop. This isn't supposed to be a love story. 3 paragraphs. My story in 3 paragraphs. This UN form wants the story of why I fled Iraq in 3 paragraphs or less. Where do I start? My husband's brother was shot in head and killed in car my husband was driving. The other bullets fired missed my husband's head by inches. Inches. He came home covered in his dead brother's blood and brains. Yani, my whole family is in danger in Iraq. Because of this, my son, who is 6, does not talk. I have only one son, and he does not speak. There's no place for us in Iraq now. No place called home. Iraq is ruined now, just a place for militia. You stole our life. You stole our laughter. You even stole parts of our bodies. This is big injustice done to Iraqi people. I knew a man who had one leg tied to a tree and the other leg tied to wheel of car. And the car, it kept moving forward and backward and forward and backward and forward and backward and forward until this man was torn in 2. This man was my friend. There are things you can't imagine. America, nobody asked you to come, but you came, and you said you were going to save us. So why do you not?
Don't touch me. I'll throw you in the sewer.
I tell lie to my children. I pretend to be on the phone with their father. I have empty conversation with nobody on the other side. Also, they do not worry. And so they will behave. They do not listen to me, my children. It makes them behave better if they think their father will be mad, so I pretend. I'm afraid to tell them the truth. To tell them to no longer wait. That their father is not coming home. Is that a good place to start? Thank you. Thank you. That was from No Place Called Home. Thank you for having me.
Hey bro, take me out of the picture, you in your shirt.
Yeah, sure.
Awesome.
Make a donation. The world
Thank
can't
you so
wait.
much, Kim.
And be on the email list.
And again, thank you, Nancy. Next, I'd like to bring up MC Speaker for the Dead. Now, he will explain to you what he's doing here. He's on YouTube. He has some really great pieces up there, and he's going to do spoken word for us.
Thanks, Bill. My name is Speaker for the Dead, number 4. And I have a message for America's mayor. Thank you, Elaine, for having us and throwing this event. I'm glad I could support it. Mr. Mayor, it's like every one of us got the same hooker on call. Cause 10 years later, the same Bush still fucking us all. Mr. Mayor, you can't fool me. I know there's a difference between Shia and Sunni, let alone Sufi. If I'm wrong, then prove me wrong and improve the lives of Iraqis. But that ain't even the point. Like trying to stab me with a gun. They treat us like we dumb. So I say I may grab a bomb, strap it on my back and arms to combat the harm, Mr. Mayor. And I don't even back Saddam, but I don't back the bombs. They're blasted Iraq and shock and awe. It's another way of saying miniature Hiroshima. This is a different theme of genocide. When does war stop being war and cross the line of genocide? Thresholds. Let's go killing for killing, because 9/11 attacks were perpetrated against civilians. Iraqi, Pakistani, Afghan, men, women, and children, 90% of those deaths were, guess who? Civilians. Mr. Mayor, as we shuffle off this mortal coil, poor peasants down to the Saudi royals, all our blood becomes soil, circle of life, and we die for oil. We become fossils, and fossils fuel. Is it possible that what Mufasa knew is even more than God and Allah could do? Abu Ghraib Fallujah, white phosphorus used to supplant Vietnam napalm. They be urging us to remain calm. Go shopping while Iraqi, Pakistani, Afghani baby bodies be dropping. Mr. Mayor, never forget it, ever, but just make sure that you remember. I say, just make sure that you remember. America propped up Saddam. From 80 to 89, killing Kurds was fine. We be going to jail because motherfuckers is strapped. But nobody go to jail for the economic collapse. We be going to jail because motherfuckers is strapped. But nobody go to jail for the economic collapse. So no matter what's written, how it flow, or what it say, motherfuckers still open, like Guantanamo Bay. I say, motherfuckers still open, like Guantanamo Bay. No matter what they say. So all I want to say is that the tears and blood that were shed on 9/11 should never be used to construct more weapons. Should never be used to kill more peasants. Should never be used as a tool for elections. Rudy Giuliani, Speaker for the Dead.
Right.
Thank you, please. I'm glad I was able to support this. Please, if you like what I had to say, do the same back. Come support my YouTube page. It's YouTube MC Speaker for the Dead. I got cards and CDs on the table. Take one, they're free. Thank you. Thank you so much for what
Sign
you do.
up on the World Can't Wait email list and have this sponsoring this whole memorial to all the victims of the U.S. war on terror since 9/11.
Okay, so that was really great. We have some really good artists and performers here today. Anybody out in the crowd who wants to share stories, read poetry, if you're with us today on this memorial for the victims of the global war on terror. We're here to memorialize this innocent lives that were lost after the 9/11 attacks, caused by the shock and awe that the U.S. perpetrated around the world. So I want to bring up Jacob, George, I'll have to find him, and his crew, Russ and Jared. They're from A Ride Till the End. Jacob is a 3-tour Afghanistan veteran. Let me go find him.